Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the SpyShack podcast, the podcast where superfans get together and talk about the latest episode of Survivor. My name is Mark, stepping in again for Saul. He is out on his job yet again. So here we are. With me are all three of my trusty co-hosts. First of all, Randy. Randy, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here. Glad to talk about another episode of Survivor. I thought it was a pretty good one. So I'm happy to talk about it. So, Mark, what's your one word to describe this episode?
What? You're going to turn this on me right away?
100% right away.
But wait a minute. We don't get introduced? We don't get to say hi?
Kim, you're next. Relax.
All right. My word for the week is patience.
Okay. Well, since Kim butted in, I'm going to go to Doug. Doug, how are you doing today?
Doug, because I don't have a word.
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
What is your one word to describe this episode?
My word's anticlimactic.
Okay. Kim, how are you doing today?
I am doing okay. I just want to say, like always, I love and I miss my son every day. Tomorrow is a year since I lost him. And thank you all for always being so supportive.
No problem. I'm glad to have you here tonight.
Yeah.
What is your one word?
My one word is I'm gonna steal Doug's. Anticlimactic. Not surprised. Even though I was, but not.
It's a good steal.
Yeah. As Mark said, my name is Randy. I'll kind of be leading us through this thing here tonight. I'm gonna go with the word. I just gotta go with. I'm gonna take two words, but you're gonna be fine with it when I say it. I'm going with Aunt Patty. My word is Aunt Patty.
I like that. So it's okay.
I figured.
I want another word. I
figured you guys would be fine with it since I went with that one.
Kim stole my word. I want another word.
Go for it, Doug. Throw it out there.
Tease. My other word is tease.
I think that's a really good one.
That's a good one.
Oh, that is a good one.
We'll jump right into the episode. We start out the episode back at camp after one crazy tribal council, and then another one also occurred. But we come back to camp, and everyone said, well, there was an extra vote. Someone must have had it. And Kellen comes clean about her extra vote and explains to Laurel why she put 2 votes on her. What did you guys think about the way everyone reacted to the 2 votes and the way Kellen tried to sell it here?
I think
I'm gonna take this, and I think that she had no choice. It would not have been anybody else. She had to own it at this point. I think she explained herself right. It was truthful. It was honest. She thought it was going to be her. So it was good. I mean, what else was she gonna say?
Absolutely. I think she played it well without being emotional about it, and with explaining it to the way that I think that Laurel needs it to be explained to her. It was very rational. It said, I thought you guys were all going to vote for Michael. I thought he was going to play it, and I was going to be the odd man out and get voted out. So I had to do something to protect myself. And I think she did the right thing by the way that she claimed it. It was hers, because there was no way she was going to be able to get away with that one by hiding that. So I was happy to see how that went down. And then we move right on, because they get right to these challenges recently. But this time we're going right to the reward challenge. And it was a very lame challenge. I want to say that now before we get into it. You had to race across a couple beams, get a sandbag, dig under a beam, and throw a bag at a table. There wasn't a whole lot to it. But it wasn't about the challenge. It was about the reward and the structure around it. So the winner of this challenge would receive chicken, burgers, and your loved ones are here too. So I like the way that Jeff kind of sold this one, and like it wasn't the loved ones visit, and then all of a sudden kind of dropped it at the end. So I'm going to go through. Go ahead.
What challenges do you like? This is what you've been waiting for all season. A multi-part obstacle race.
Yeah, but not when it happens within 10 feet. And one of them is walk across a beam, go under a beam. Like, it was pretty basic.
Here, I need to say something. Randy and I rarely ever agree, but I agree with him here. It was very boring. I mean, it's been done. I mean, walk across a beam. How many times have they dug a hole and crawled under that log? I mean, it's in throw one, sandbag one? Like, it wasn't like 4-1?
If you want in my mind, Doug, the challenge I like, I'm thinking South Pacific Final Four. Going across, like, the ones that are more, there's a lot more of a production value to it. There's a lot more of a set, or sometimes there's a big maze, or even San Juan del Sur Final Four where they're climbing up the thing, going down the slide. I like the ones with more of a bigger set. But
BBOTT did better on challenges than this was. Okay.
Yeah. I think they just wanted to concentrate on the reward scenes and the
star wasn't the challenge.
Yeah, they wanted to concentrate on the loved ones, but even then, they didn't get that much screen time either.
Yeah, so when that leads into this, we'll jump into. I'm just gonna kind of name who was there, and then we'll kind of talk about our reaction to this. So we had Wendell's dad, Kellen's brother, Donathan's Aunt Patty. We had Angela's daughter, Chelsea's sister, Laurel's brother, Sebastian's sister, and then the only one that wasn't blood, as Jeff said, Dominic's wife that looked like Stephanie Johnson. So what did you guys? Just the hair. It was really only the hair. So who stood out to you guys in the loved one's visit, and how that went down?
Wendell's dad, Aunt Patty. Wendell's dad was great, Aunt Patty, and I really liked Sebastian with his sister. The others were kind of like, oh, okay, it's cute, it's sweet, but those were the ones that stood out the most for me.
Any of you guys?
Yeah, we're talking about this before the show started, and Kristen was a bit much.
Yeah, I thought she was like, I really liked her opening of "I love you and hate you so much." I liked that, but then when she started talking about, oh, I've been so much agony, like that was a little, that part was a little much. Like,
thank you. I was like, okay, like, I mean, come in. Probst was like, what's going on? Like, what agony? Like,
Probst was like, what? Why are you freaking out? The two that stood
a little bit dramatic.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
The two that stood out to me, obviously, besides Aunt Patty, which she didn't really stand out until later to me, but the two that stood out to me was Angela's daughter. I liked this little moment here, and also Kellen's brother. These two, kind of seeing the relationship between Kellen and her brother, and how they say they're very different, and kind of Survivor, their love of Survivor brought them together, made them closer in their adult life. And I thought that was kind of a fun little moment there. But there wasn't any huge ones that were just that were crazy besides Dominic's wife, and I'm just kind of still questionable on that one.
Yeah, I'm questioning on how genuine it was, or is she really that dramatic in real life?
I think she's really that dramatic. I've seen her on Twitter. I think she's that dramatic.
It's a bit much. So, good for Dominic, because if he can survive her at home, he can definitely win Survivor. So. Sorry.
So, Doug, explain your facial expressions as we've been talking.
There were so many.
There was a lot.
I thought none of the family members stood out. I thought this was a super boring batch of family members. I think some of the survivors stood out. I thought Angela stood out. I thought Kellen stood out.
I actually also
you're gonna forget Aunt Patty's name by like next year.
Oh, I agree. Nothing will be better than Sunny Bunny from last season. But I also kind of liked Chelsea and her sister. That was like the most we've seen Chelsea talk at one time, which is kind of cool.
I really do think that under, even slightly different circumstances, being, anything other than the dominant alliance that this is season, I think Chelsea and Angela would probably be some of my favorites on many other seasons.
And Jenna kind of
Angela.
Yes, because
Angela?
the three. Yes, the three of them.
Remember, he liked Chrissy. Like it all.
Oh my gosh, they're totally different. No, that's the thing. That's the thing.
No, I agree. I agree. They're different.
Hear me out for like 2 seconds, any of you. Angela is a total weirdo, and we get to see it like every third episode. And if she were even remotely consequential in how the game were playing out, we'd see her a lot. And she seems like a total cuckoo like human being, and I love it.
She had a moment this episode where she made a really weird facial expression when they were talking about deciding who to vote for, and I fully agree with you. She's a weirder.
And she has these moments of like strong intensity where you're like, bam, where did that person come from? Oh shoot, it's Angela.
I think that we would have seen so much more of her had they put her on the right season. And the right season would have been Hustlers, Healers, Heroes. And I really think she would have done better on that season. I think we would have saw more of her.
Yeah, that would have been interesting to see. And I know we've talked about that earlier in the season about how that was a discussion point at some point in time. But in this challenge, Sebastian kind of leads throughout a lot of it. I know Laurel leads for a while, but struggles to get under the beam fast enough. Sebastian gets to the last round to throw the bag on the table. Dominic almost gets it, but Sebastian ends up winning and basically takes all the guys with him to the reward. And it's at this point in time that Jeff extends an open invitation to Ghost Island, where there's an immediate advantage for whoever gets it. You don't have to do anything; you just get it. And Sebastian chooses not to take it, offers it to the guys, and Wendell gives up his family visit and goes to Ghost Island.
Good, and he's the only one playing the game. It was absolutely
hang on.
ridiculous.
So I have a few questions here. Let's start with this. What do you guys think about Sebastian's decision to take the guys? Let's start with that.
I think that depending on where Sebastian feels like he is in the game, and we don't know at all where that is, I think it could have been fine. Like, depending on what Sebastian views the playing field as, if he's the one winning and he's the one picking, it could be one of those things that's really, really transparent, but could have benefited him based on his perspective. I think if Dom had done that, if Wendell had done that, it would have been just like the worst move ever. But that's because we know so much more about what they're doing. So it's hard to judge. I think my first reaction was like, oh my gosh, Sebastian, what are you doing? And then I kind of tried to figure out what he was doing, and I didn't have enough information. So it could have been fine.
I don't think Sebastian really had the forethought of, is this a good move or not? He just wanted to spend time with his sister. It was stupid. No one is worth it.
See, I disagree.
A few hours.
I disagree because I do think
we're talking about those choices. First of all, who he chose. That's where we're at right now.
Oh, I had to hit mute. I didn't know.
I understand.
I'm sorry.
I think that Sebastian intentionally chose all the guys. I think it was a specific decision based on choosing the guys.
Yeah, I think this episode showed Sebastian's position in the game in a different spot than like I think they'd shown it every other episode. Because every time we've always seen him, he's with Angela and he's with Chelsea and he's right along with them. And now all of a sudden everyone's talking about we got to watch out for the three guys. And we're like, wait, what? Wait, since when is he with them? I thought that was a really interesting kind of turn that they showed this episode, that maybe he's been with them a lot longer, and that really makes sense. I don't know if Sebastian really thought about the optics of leaving the four girls out versus the three guys, but I do think that's who he's closest to. So I think that's really all he thought about, was who he was close to and who would enjoy the family visit.
Maybe. I think there is a slight chance, and I can't wait to hear Sebastian's actual explanation for it. I think there's a slight chance that this was a too late effort from Sebastian to put together some sort of...
to get in with them.
Yes.
So let's move on to the next part of this. Is what did you think of this twist of Ghost Island that Jeff kind of threw on us, that nothing had to be earned, and Wendell's decision to give up his family visit and go for it?
I thought it was interesting because it's right there. There's no mystery about it. It's just whoever wants it. And for Wendell to just go for it and give up the visit, I thought it was I thought it was the right move.
Yeah.
Because he wants to keep it away from the other players, and that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Randy.
I thought this was the right decision, and like I think Wendell kind of alluded to it that once it was announced, his dad's like, "Do it, go for it, win the million. We can spend time together later." I think that was kind of the way his approach was. I think it was the right decision. I was not surprised that Sebastian didn't take it because Sebastian's not really thinking that way. And I think it would have been interesting if he would have taken it because we don't really think of Sebastian as game-minded. And when he is making a very direct game decision like that of going to Ghost Island for an advantage, I think everyone would have started to look at Sebastian differently. I don't know if that's good or bad. For the long run, that could have been good for him, for those people that are on the jury finally seeing that he is making thinking towards the game. But I really liked this kind of twist of Ghost Island, that it was so direct of what it was.
I like any time Survivor forces players to play in front of each other, and that's exactly what this twist did. So as much as I don't like the idea of just going to Ghost Island and receiving something, I like that it comes with the package of, we're going to force you to play in front of the entire field. You know, you can't hide this decision.
That's why I wish we saw the schoolyard picks.
Yeah.
Because I think that's such a part of it, of playing the game in front of people that we don't get to see, that I think really does say more than what we're getting. So I would have liked to see that. Kim, what was your thoughts of how the whole Ghost Island decision went down? Not while he was there, but like the decision that was made.
Like I said, I can understand, like you said, Sebastian doesn't really have his head in the game completely. For Dominic, I guess his wife is that crazy that he couldn't have taken it. But for me, I would have elbowed my husband and said, "You better take it. Get that advantage," because you didn't know what it was. Yeah. Get that advantage and bring home the $1 million. But she would have freaking had a panic attack out there. They would have to helicopter off if he would have said yes. Wendell was the only one who made the right decision. His dad was like, see you when you get home.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that I'm not surprised, as you kind of alluded to. I'm really not surprised Dominic didn't take it. That one really didn't surprise me all that much.
No, if it wasn't his wife and it was somebody else, he might have. But she's crazy, so he had to.
So we'll go right into this. We spent about 90 seconds of the episode at Ghost Island. We didn't really need to see much more. Wendell gets there and basically receives Malcolm's immunity second chance advantage that didn't help Malcolm at all. So I was excited to see this because I definitely fondly remember this challenge. I thought it was a cool challenge. I was a big Malcolm fan. So I was sad when he lost in the Philippines, even though I was conflicted because I also absolutely am in love with Denise Stapley. So I think that I was conflicted on that one, but it kind of worked out best in the long run, I think there. But so he receives this advantage. What do you guys think that this was the advantage he received?
I mean, for those of us that watched Survivor New Zealand, this is kind of exciting just because we just covered this challenge a few days ago for Survivor New Zealand, and it was part of the Outpost, and just to see this kind of a deja vu kind of synergy between the survivors, I thought it was very exciting.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about this being the specific advantage is that this is like the perfect scenario to raise up as like results oriented versus like strategy oriented, because I think Wendell probably made the right move, like the more I think about it. But if I had known what that advantage was, I wouldn't have gone. Not at all.
Especially the final 8. Like if it's the final 4 like it was for Malcolm and you get 2 chances, you do what you have to do to get that advantage. But 8 people left in the game, I don't know. I agree with
that it was a crappy advantage. It was. I would have felt like this is what I got.
Yeah.
This is what I risked for. But you didn't know. So I would have taken it, but I would have been really disappointed when I got there.
Because all Jeff said was game advantage. You didn't know if it was like an idol or vote or or it was like a challenge advantage. You didn't know until you get there. So,
well, you have to think Kellen's vote advantage just left the game. Maybe something like that's going to come back. You know what I mean? So I think, Doug, that was a good point about results oriented, because we all agree that Wendell made the right decision at the time, but now seeing what it was, I'm not so sold on it. But
I'm also still like 50-50 on the Wendell making the right choice. BT dubs.
Yeah,
Really?
I think he did.
Yeah.
I think he did.
I think he did.
My gut the entire time, which I
think we lost him again.
We did.
There he is.
Oh, there you are.
Move on. Next thing.
Okay, so at the reward at the actually getting the reward, we see the guys really bonding, and Dominic verbally commits to, this is the group I'm going with. See, Aunt Patty, this is the group. And Aunt Patty says, she says, if you don't, I will hunt you down, is kind of what she says. And this is where Aunt Patty kind of won me over a little bit. But that was kind of interesting here, because the inclusion of Sebastian in all this is kind of very much kind of confusing me, or more surprising me of how that's going down. So what do you guys think of Dominic's verbal vow? Do you buy it?
Not that much, because at the end of the day, Jonathan is just another person on the outside of their little thing, and I'm as surprised as you all with the whole Sebastian involvement, just because I think the Ed has been trying to convince us that he's not been strategic at all, and to see him kind of on the inside of this was just kind of a little bit of a shock.
So then back at camp, we see the girls very frustrated about the guys all getting to go. And they were especially frustrated at Wendell for basically taking one of their spots of where they could have been on the reward when Wendell took a spot and then left it. Which I don't blame them for being upset. But we see Kellen's typical, she gets really feisty when she's mad. So I thought this was kind of interesting. So the girls get together and plot against the guys and decide that we need to put our votes on Dominic. We're worried about what Wendell has. Wendell has a bag of tricks somewhere, but we should probably vote for Dominic. What do you guys think of the way the girls reacted and the way they came together here?
So I think there are a lot of things in this episode that point to men versus women having been a theme for a long time now. I think the fact that there's some sort of mysterious connection with Sebastian, the fact that the women are so upset at what happened, the fact that all the men are on the reward, this sort of uneasiness, just generally speaking, like there's something unspoken that makes me think the guys knew that the women had already been brewing something, and the women knew the men had already been brewing something. And
I think he's gone.
And we lost him again. I agree. They have hinted at this multiple times throughout the season that that there has been kind of this male versus female fight throughout the time. Oh, he's back now. He gives up. Okay, so yeah, and I agree. It's happened a few times throughout the season. We've been hinted at this male versus female fight, and because throughout the whole season, if you notice, for the most part, it stayed pretty even about guys and girls. For the first about 6 or 7 boots, it went back and forth, guy girl or whatever. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That's been fairly even. It hasn't been too lopsided this game at all. So then we go right into the challenge. As we already knew, it is the Philippines Final Four challenge, where you have to balance a ball on a series of cylinders. And right away, Wendell announces his advantage, which I think is great for Wendell, that he can kind of put everyone's worries to bed right here. This is what I won. I didn't win anything crazy. I didn't win anything secretive. We're using it here and it's done, so don't target me. So I thought that was actually pretty good for Wendell. So we see that he gets an extra life in this advantage. So as they start, Kellen falls within the first 10 minutes, and she's out. That's when they have to reset and add another set onto the end. In the second section, Angela is not even able to get started. She can't lift the thing up balance very well and loses it. And Wendell quickly drops right after that. So at the next reset, Wendell drops again and he's out. So both times this advantage has been around, it has not furthered the person at all in the challenge. Malcolm went from 4th to 4th. Wendell went from 6th to 6th. So in the final round, Sebastian, Laurel, Chelsea, and Donathan all fall pretty quick in succession, leaving Dominic as the winner of this immunity challenge. What did you guys think of the way this immunity challenge went down? Anything exciting, or should we keep moving?
Mostly unexciting. Just to say that I don't think that advantage is an advantage at all, because I think if you're not going to do well in this challenge, it doesn't matter how many times you do it. And if you are going to do well in the challenge, you don't need the advantage. Yeah,
this isn't the challenge where a second try helps all that much.
Nope. Yeah.
So back at camp, Dominic and Wendell sit and decide that the guys plus Laurel need to vote for Chelsea because she's such a competition beast. She did get 3rd this challenge. Good for her. So the girls get together and decide to shift their vote off of Dominic and onto Wendell since Dominic is immune. This is where we see the really weird facial expression from Angela. If you want to go back and see it at some point in time, it's really strange. So right here, this conversation right here is where it happened. So Angela and Kellen both approach Donathan and talk about voting for Wendell. And I'll kind of pause here. Donathan, throughout this episode, this is what Donathan does. He sits there, smiles awkwardly, and just shakes his head a lot. That's what he was doing the whole time at the reward when Dominic said, "I'm with you. We're all together. It's us guys." Doesn't say a word, just weirdly smiles and shakes his head. And I think Donathan does a good job of that. What did you guys think of the way that that all this went down throughout here?
There's something about Donathan that just makes you feel comfortable with him, and I think that's the deal with both the men and the women. So that both sides feel like he's on their side, and so he's kind of in a good position right now, and especially with the Navides just kind of splitting up at this point.
Yeah, this is very much another piece of where the evidence of the men versus the women comes into place. When somebody laid it out as the women want to do this, the men want to do this, and Laurel and Donathan are in the middle, this is where I think it became abundantly clear to me that something's been left out for us as a viewing audience.
Yeah, I think this has always been brewing, as we saw weeks ago when Kellen tried to get the Navidi girls together in that one vote. That this within Navidi Strong, there has always been this underlying sides of men versus women that has kind of been brewing as the time goes on, where we have Kellen seems to be leading this side, and Dominic and Wendell seem to be leading this side. And so I think this was the first time that we really start seeing more of an aggressive attack on that idea.
Well, it's the result of a cold war that we haven't been able to watch. So we've picked up little pieces and bits and stuff like that, and suddenly we see the culmination of it. And I guess because it didn't end up coming into fruition the way that you would expect, maybe that's why we never saw it. But this is definitely like the missile strike after a very long Cold War.
Absolutely. So we see Wendell and Dominic and Laurel start talking about the plan and how we should just be good to vote out Chelsea. And Wendell starts to get nervous about Laurel, about how she's not giving me the same positive vibes that she normally gives me as we go through this. And if he needs to, he will use his idol. But then we end this scene with the really important discussion of Donathan and Laurel. Discuss where they need to move, what their options are moving forward. We can go this way and guarantee we get to the end, but very likely not win. Or we can go this way and have a harder time getting to the end, but if we get there, we'll probably win. And so this is where they have a very big decision point to make. So what did you guys think? Well, we'll talk about the end result in a little bit, but what did you guys think about Laurel? I think it was Laurel that actually said it. Setting that up there and putting that out there.
I agreed. I think that you can see that you can't trust them because Kellen already put 2 votes on her and 1 tribal. So you really have to go with, can I trust you? Because if I vote Dominic or Wendell out, really Wendell at this point, how do I know that next week you're not voting me out? Well, at least I know where I stand with Dominic and Wendell, and maybe I will have another opportunity to vote them out, but I don't know where I'm getting with you. I'm not going to get any further than this tribal.
Yeah, I agree. So I think I'm going to skim through tribal council because there's really 2 big decisions that happen in this end of the episode that we probably want to discuss. But let me talk about what happened first, and we'll back up and discuss these 2 big decision points. So at tribal council, Donathan really stands up and loudly announces that Malolo has found an opening to get into Navidi, and Laurel agrees. They have found the crack. And he just kept saying crack. We found a crack. And it made me laugh. So it ended up being the Navidi guys and the Navidi girls both are talking about how nervous they are about hearing that of we're not aware of this, or both kind of just selling their side. Donathan clarifies that, yes, it's very clearly the Malolo guys versus the Navidi guys versus the Navidi girls. Kellen mentions how the family visit recentered everyone and made them think about, my real family's at home. My family isn't out here on the island with me. My family's back home, so I need to play for myself. So when it comes down to it, Wendell does not play his idol, and we end up seeing 3 votes for Wendell and 5 votes for Chelsea. So let's start with, do you guys agree with the decision that Laurel and Donathan made to stay with the Dominic, Wendell, Sebastian side of things?
Yes. And here's where my word comes in, patience. I think they're waiting until the next round to group up with the girls again to target the 3 guys. I think that's a good move for them. So just so the guys aren't immediately onto them, because 8 is just an awkward number, and you don't want to mess with that.
I think I agree with you, but I'm very much torn on this one, because that if they stay the way, if they make the decision that they did, there's less times for them to make a move against 2 people that they know have idols. And with idols running out, and I think that's a concern. But if they flip the other way, I'm concerned that they lose their power position any power position that they may have, because then they're on the bottom beneath Chelsea, Angela, and Kellen. And I worry about that. I think in the long run, I think patience is a good word here. And I think that, yes, they made the right decision, but it's going to make things harder for them to really, a move needs to be made. 8 would have been an interesting time to make it, but that's part of the reason why you make it against 2 people that have idols, because it's not as expected for big things like that to happen at 8. So I'm very much torn on this one.
I wouldn't normally wait an episode to decide whether a move was the right move or not, but I think in this case, you so rarely get the chance to take the same swing twice, and they have it. If they don't take it, they screwed up. If they take it next week and it's successful, I'm glad they waited.
I agree with you that they still have the potential to make that flip, since there's 2 of them. Now, instead of 5-3, they're going to be 4-3. And
you all know that I'm nervous about Laurel, and I want her to do the thing, and not seeing her not do it this time is making me even more nervous. I just keep getting more and more nervous.
We're used to it by now, right? It's like, Laurel, here's the move, make it, and then she's kind of, meh.
Yeah. But again, if she's able to wait until the last possible moment to do it, then massive kudos. Massive kudos.
Yeah, that's tough. So what did you guys think? What did you guys think of Wendell not using his idol?
Oh, Randy, there is so much. This episode needed to be an hour and a half, which is ridiculous because so little seemed to have happened. But there's just so much that didn't seem to make enough sense given the information we got. So I have to suspect that it was the right move because I have to suspect that he knew he was good. Like he talked about being nervous. So there's no reason for him not to play it unless he was 100%.
I agree. I think he knew what was going down. I think that we didn't see Laurel approach him and say, they talked about voting you out. I want you to know that you're safe. Because then I thought maybe she's not going to vote out Wendell, but she's going to make him flush his idol.
Exactly. Right there is the point I want to make. In my whole head, the whole time I'm thinking, this is a good play by Donathan. The whole time he is going to get Wendell to play his idol, but still side with Wendell. So he keeps his alliance there. But then immediately after the episode, Donathan flat out says on Twitter, I wasn't flushing an idol. That wasn't my goal at all. And that completely crushed all of my goodwill towards Donathan at that point.
Donathan said he tried really hard to get Laurel to flip, but she wouldn't.
But there was also a little thing, like right after he said, if you have an immunity idol, play it, now's the time to play it. And you see Laurel kind of shaking her head, and I think Wendell kind of saw it. I think that was kind of the hint that he needed to say, you know what, I don't need to play my idol.
Here's the thing: if Laurel did in fact tell Wendell not to play it in any way, shape, or form, one, I think that was a brilliant move, and two, we should have seen it. And I will be very angry if I find out that she did straight up tell him and we didn't get to see it, because what that contributes to is this story of Laurel making them feel comfortable and comfortable and comfortable and comfortable and just constantly building up that trust until hopefully next week she does it again and says, you're good, and they trust her because she's done it umpteen times now, and that's when she makes her move. That's what I'm hoping all of this has built up to.
So I think I said it in the first 5 minutes or very early in the episode. I tweeted out, Laurel, don't mess this up. I mean, I love you, but don't mess this up, because I thought this was her chance. But as we got to it, as Mark says, patience. I think Laurel needs something to make her stand out to the jury. So I'm hoping that she still has that and isn't blinded by her allegiance to Dominic and Wendell. So we'll see what happens. But I thought that I think you're right there, where we'll see what happens next week, because they still have the chance to make a shot, take a shot at one of them. So at this point, Mark, you want to say goodbye to Chelsea?
Thanks for playing. Congrats on winning 2 individual immunity idols.
Wait. Can I do a goodbye to Chelsea? Because there's so much more than that.
I would say I think there was more. We'll let Mark start.
Okay. Let me continue. I was very happy to see you try to make a move. In your final days, and and you're sort of pleasant on the eyes, and so. Yeah, now I'm done.
Go ahead, Doug.
You forgot to mention she was hot. You're right. Okay. No, here's the thing. This isn't a conventional tinfoil hat, but I would not be at all surprised to find out later on in however long it takes, to find out that Chelsea was actually an important, influential.
Okay, he cut out again, so I'm going to say the same thing because I agree with what he's about to say. Yes, I think Chelsea was more of a decision maker than the show gave her credit for. I think that she was involved in a lot of things. She just must not have been dynamic for the show. I know I'm giving your opinion because I'm agreeing with you. That yes, she was more of a decision maker. Go for
Thank
it.
Thank you for filling that in.
You're here. Go for it.
There are a couple things, right? Her final words don't make a lot of sense. Am I here? Am I not allowed to talk about Chelsea? Okay.
Go. Why you still can?
Okay. Her final words don't make any sense if she wasn't an important player in the game, and there are a couple things that I don't really like that she's doing on Twitter, but some of the things she's saying on Twitter indicate to me her frame of mind with regards to the game of Survivor. And I find it really, really hard to believe that somebody with her mindset and somebody who gave the final words that she did and somebody who won challenges and went for them the way she did wasn't playing well. I think Chelsea was actually playing really well. I think that the fact that she went out and it was written off as sort of one of the girls' numbers with a throwaway line about, you know, being a challenge competitor is like a huge disservice. And there's something there. She either gave the worst confessionals ever or she was a diva or something. I don't know what it is, but I think she was probably a really good player that was wiped from this season.
I
visibly.
agree. I think she's incredibly charming. I think that her Ponderosa showed that. I think she was an under-edited version of Michelle Fitzgerald almost, where she kind of had a little bit of that vibe to her. But the fact was Michelle made it to the end, so she needed to be shown more.
But I think it's more than that. I think Chelsea is strategic. I think she is probably not, which it sounds like a dig at Michelle, and I apologize for that. But like I think Chelsea is strategic in the way that I would give her a lot of credit for what the women were doing. I would be willing to say, put that on the shelf and let's give some of that credit to Chelsea, or at least be willing to, because I don't know that Kellen is the one who's able to keep them all together. I don't know that Angela is the one that can keep them all together. Chelsea's sort of like the stable, strategic, like alpha female. I think she's probably responsible for it. I think she's the one that goes home because of it. And Angela and Kellen are not seen as threats, not just as challenge beasts, but as sort of the most stable, intelligent player of that group.
Yeah, we saw that in the earlier days of Navidi with the Kellen, Bradley, Desiree, that whole group. And we saw Chelsea kind of going back and forth between the groups of, okay, are we voting for Stephanie? Are we voting for Michael? Or what are we doing here? And I thought that, I agree. I think that her Ponderosa, I really enjoyed her Ponderosa. I thought she was a fun personality. So I think that that's two women in a row that I think based on were kind of screwed a little bit by the edit that had so much more personality that we didn't get to see. Because I think both Jenna and Chelsea had a lot more to show us.
Yeah, and I think it's really funny because people were, I think, ironically Yas Queening Chelsea.
Yeah,
but I think there's legitimate Yas Queen to be had there. And I would be so interested to see her. Sure, it is now, you know? But I would be so interested, not that I don't want to see her back. There's most of these people I don't want to see back, but I would be not upset if she were suddenly plopped onto another season, and I would tell everybody to like, hold on a second, because one, Kelly Wentworth, and two, look at all the signs that were Chelsea's gameplay.
She never will, because the way that the editors and producers did her dirty. Yep. But I think that I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I am going to swing over to our draft and see where we are from there. Let me know when you guys can see it. Hopefully that should be any second now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I'm in the lead with 142 points, left with three people left. I have Sebastian, Kellen, and Laurel. Kim is in second with 122 points, only left with Wendell. Saul is in third with 108, left with Dominic and Donathan. And Mark is down to one person left with Angela with 100 points. So in all honesty, there's a lot of points at the final tribal council. So I think we could get in. It could be interesting to see how this ends up. Because there's 10 jurors and 3 points each. That's 30 points to give out just on voting in the final tribal council. So we could see a shakeup here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. I think Mark just lost one of the few people who was an actual winning contender left in the game, which is crazy because I wouldn't have said that last week. But I think you did.
I did.
Okay, so here's the time we always have fun. Who was the episode MVP? Who wants to go first?
If I can go first. I think it was. I'm not even going to spend a lot of time on it. I think it was Dom. I think Dom, his group stayed together. He got immunity. He kept the 2 people with him that he needed for this round. It might bite him in the butt later, but I think a round couldn't have gone better for somebody than it did for Dom this time.
I agree. I think he would have been my go-to obvious pick that I would have. And just since I don't like to pick the same, I'm going to pick Sebastian. And it may be for an edit reason, but it seemed like he got in good with the dominant alliance and he won that challenge. I think I'm just gonna throw it to him, and he could have been in that group all along, but they all of a sudden showed him in a different position than he was previously, and I think this is a good position for him to be in. So I'm gonna go with Sebastian.
Well, I think if it has to do with longevity, I think that is a great place to put it. I think Sebastian may have just positioned himself incredibly well.
Yeah, I agree. What do you say, Mark?
For me, I think I'm gonna go with. I'll go with Donathan, just because he's in a good position game-wise, and nobody is seeing him as a either strategic or challenge threat. And so he has the potential to go the long haul, but I'm kind of worried for him towards the end, whether he has an argument to win or not.
Yeah, I feel a little bit bad for Donathan on this episode because he very clearly wanted to switch, and Laurel kind of shut that down, and that's been kind of backed up by some posts on Twitter. But that leads me into the preview for next episode. Next episode is our penultimate episode. We only have 2 weeks left of Survivor.
Wow.
Next week, we see Donathan catch what I think what they were showing us was Dominic putting his idol in his pocket and Donathan catching him. I think that's what they were showing us, but we don't see it exactly. And then Donathan looks to very vocally target Dominic next episode. So we'll see what happens there. But as we said, that group, Laurel and Donathan, could have a second chance to make the same move against Dominic or Wendell, basically whichever one doesn't win immunity. The best hope is that neither of them win immunity and they don't know who the target is, so they don't know what to do with their idols. But we'll see. You guys have anything else to add tonight?
I don't think so.
Well, yeah, that's about it for me.
Mark, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at MarcoPolo310 and also here on YouTube at youtube.com/MarcoPolo310.
And you are also podcasting about
Survivor New Zealand along with Doug.
I did hear you get a question on the RHAP Survivor New Zealand podcast last week.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, I heard that.
It was, I think, episode 2. I haven't heard episode 3 yet.
Both of you are in there. I need to start submitting some questions.
I think both of us had a question in there. She said you had. Shannon said you had a fake name, though. So.
Oh,
she did. She said that sounds like a fake name.
She did call you out on your fake name.
Whatever.
Doug,
whatever.
Doug, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Ikkybooley, ICKYBOOLEY, and on, when do we record? Mondays with Mark talking about Survivor New Zealand.
Yes, and you can find me online at Randy Knoop. That's RandyYKNUP. I do a lot of drafts. I have a lot of them ending very soon. BB Can just ended tonight. I got to get those drafts out. Survivor will be ending soon. Dancing with the Stars is ending in a couple weeks. There's a lot of stuff ending all of a sudden right here at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So I got nothing else to add. So we will see you guys next week as we recap the penultimate episode where we will have eventually come out of there with our 6 people in the finale, which I'm sure will break down different scenarios as we look forward to the finale in 2 weeks. Until next time, we'll see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.